Yeah. Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Ben Kaufman. I'm a Bitcoin software open source developer. And yeah, today's talk is about planning your Bitcoin inheritance with Miniscript. I know it's the last talk of the day, so I hope it will be not too boring and not too, I hope everyone still has some energy for it. I know it's a bit of a technical topic, but I'll try to not make it too boring. Yeah, so let's just before I start, just to understand the room, with a quick raise of hands, how many people know what a multisig is? Okay, how many people know what the hardware wallet is? Okay, so pretty much most of the room knows this. So, okay, just so I know that I can speak about this stuff. Okay, let's start, guys. So what is Bitcoin inheritance plan and why do you even need it? Basically, when you think of inheritance, it's something that is very legal, right? You think of it with your, real estate, bank account. It's all legal stuff. You just need to have your papers in order and have some lawyer that will deal with it. And yeah, with Bitcoin, it's also like that. You also need to make sure that you plan the legal side of things. You don't want any wars after you're dead. You don't want any fights. So you should make sure that you are transferring the legal title right. But this is not the subject of my talk. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about the legal side. So we can skip that. And with Bitcoin, we have also another side, which is the technical side, which is super interesting, I think. And it's also simply important because unlike bank accounts, unlike real estate, unlike whatever you have a legal title to, with Bitcoin, you cannot rely on the legal system. With real estate, if the court says that the apartment is yours, then it's yours. You can use it. It's immediately yours. With Bitcoin, no court order can make it yours if you don't have the keys to it, right? If you lose the keys, if someone takes them, it's simply not yours, and no court order can really change that. So planning the inheritance on the technical side is an extremely important step. And specifically, the goal of Bitcoin inheritance plan is to make sure that your heirs can actually access the Bitcoin after you're gone, but not before that. There can also be inheritance plans where you just trust the people that you want to leave it to. But I will not talk about that because it's boring. It's simply making sure that they know where your keys are. Like that's it. If you trust them enough that you don't care about them accessing it before you're dead, then you can just share the keys with them or tell them where to find it, right? This is boring, so I will skip that as well. I'll assume that our goal here is to make sure that they can access your Bitcoin once you're dead, but they cannot access it before that. This is the important distinction here. And yeah, this is our challenge. How can we make sure that my heirs can access my Bitcoin when I'm gone, but not before that? And the solution in simple words is, since Bitcoin is controlled by private keys, we need to give the heirs a key, but we need to make sure that this key cannot be used before you're dead, right? We need to make sure that before you're gone, they cannot actually do anything with this key. But after you're gone, we want to make sure that this key suddenly somehow is active and useful for them. So how can we do that? The idea of how to do it is the idea of, it's a very common conception called a dead man switch. In software and in general, a dead man switch just means that something should happen when you're gone. If you're not actively doing something, then assume I'm dead and do something. I'll give an example. So let's say we're two friends, and I tell my friend, if I don't message you every year, happy birthday, assume I'm dead and check on me, please. This is like how a dead man switch would work in theory, right? You're just actively doing an action, you're doing something, you're sending a message telling, hey, I'm still alive. And when you're not doing it, we just assume that you're not here anymore. So we can actually try and use this deadman logic and just apply it to Bitcoin. But how exactly do we take this deadman switch and put it in Bitcoin? So the old solution, the naive solution would be, we could just use it with a server. We can just say server holds, let's say, an encrypted copy of your key. You send it an encryption at the copy of your Bitcoin key. The heir, you give them the key to decrypt that. So you give there a key, but it's not the key to your Bitcoin. It's a key to the key, right? And then from the app, you basically can send a request to the server to share the key. So if you are the heir and you want to receive this key, you're asking, okay, I need the server key because I need to access the inheritance, right? Before sharing, the server will send an email to the owner, to the actual owner, to make sure, hey, are you actually gone or are you still here? And if the owner doesn't respond, let's say after 1 month, we can assume that the owner is not around anymore and safely share it. So this is how a deadman switch logic would work in hopefully simple terms. We just assume that if the owner cannot confirm that they are not dead, then they might be, and we just share it with their heirs. And this way is decent. The owner is sure that when they are gone, the heir can access the funds, but they have to trust the server to be there. It requires a lot of trust. They have to trust the company managing the server to still be there. They have to trust them not to collaborate with the heir. So let's say we're talking a lot of money. A billionaire wants to to give out their funds. So there can be a lot of incentive for the heir and the company to collaborate. So you need to trust them not to do that. And also, server can lose data, have technical issues. You're still trusting basically a trusted infrastructure. And we generally just don't want that. That's not the goal with Bitcoin. So the question is, can we do better? Because Bitcoin is programmable money, right? There should be a way to program that money to do the stuff that we want to do with it. In this case, add this deadman switch inside of the money, right? And yeah, we can do that with what's called Miniscript. Another quick raise of hands. How many people are aware of the Bitcoin script language or know what it is? Okay, decent, but yeah, less. So I'll quickly mention that. Yeah, Bitcoin, as you can see, Bitcoin has its own programming language called Script, and the Script language is just a language that you use to describe how a Bitcoin should be spent. So Bitcoin has UTXOs, right? It's made of, each Bitcoin is locked into what's called the UTXO, and this UTXO contains this script, which is the conditions of how to spend the Bitcoin. This script can say, for example, that this specific key needs to sign in order to spend the Bitcoin, which is the most common thing. But it can say a lot more stuff. So script has a lot of options. It can say that 2 keys or 2 out of 3 keys need to sign in order to spend, which is what a multisig is. But we can do more stuff. But script is very useful, but it's just too complex to use, let's say. It's very complicated to write, to read. You can do a lot with it, but you can do actually too much. So a user interface that developers want to build will not be able to properly process it. It's just too complicated and too versatile. So Miniscript comes to solve this issue. And Miniscript, you could think of it as Lego blocks for the script language. The idea is, let's take script, which is great, which is like, let's say, bricks, and turn it into Lego, something that we can play with, something that we can reuse and go around with. So something that is still very, very useful, very powerful, but essentially still a subset of the whole script language. So you can basically, you can describe very complex script conditions in a way that is more or less readable. It's not human readable to the average people, but it's definitely developer readable now. I'll show it in a moment. It's very readable for developers. It's understandable to someone if you explain it to them, and it can be read by wallets, which is very important. Wallets can process it and understand it a bit more easily than directly working with script. Let's see some examples just to see what I'm talking about. I'll go here. So this is called Miniscript Studio. If someone wants to enter and play with it later, you can see the URL here, take photos. Yeah. Yeah, so you can see, take photos. Very nice website made by a developer who's a friend, Adi. So you can see, follow him later on Twitter or something. Shout out for the project. But yeah, I'll start with the simplest example of what Miniscript is, which is single key spending. So if I click here, you can see that I have just what's called the policy in Miniscript. The policy is not Miniscript directly, but it later can be compiled. It can generate Miniscript, and it's a very human readable language. So here you can see just with the key, right? So PK, private key, and of, let's say, Alice. Here it gives the name, so we can label the keys so it's a bit easier. And then below you can basically edit it and have Alice, and this is the actual key of Alice. But here it's like synthetic sugar. It shows you Alice as an easy way to reason about it. So with single key, it's simple. We just have a key. That's all. That is the spending condition, and that can be turned into Miniscript. I compile it. You see Miniscript, it's also, here it's the same, because it's the simplest thing you can do. If you want to do a condition of or, so this key or that key, so either Alice or Bob, this is how you write it. You write or, key of Alice or key of Bob. That's very easy, right? This makes a lot more sense. Here you can see that in Miniscript, it compiles to something that is a little harder to read. So it's still readable, but it gets a bit harder. And then if we go to other examples, it can get a bit more complicated, but still it is readable. So the idea of Miniscript is just making things easier and more portable, so you can use them in different wallets. So how can we actually use Miniscript? Let me turn the slides. Yeah, so how can we actually use Miniscript to solve the inheritance problem of Bitcoin? With Miniscript, it lets you define keys and define conditions of how to use them. One of the things that it lets you do is to define keys that are activated later. Great, exactly what we want, right? We want a key that is activated later. And Miniscript lets you do that pretty easily. The only thing that we need to think of is, okay, what happens if the time approaches? So I said the key is to be activated in 2 years, but 2 years are just about to pass and I'm still around. So we need to do this deadman logic of telling Bitcoin that, hey, I'm still around, please don't make it usable yet, right? And the way we do that is basically we can send a transaction and move the coins into a new UTXO, into a new wallet UTXO. So what happens, you just send the coins from one lock, from the old lock which says activate in 2 years, to a new lock which says activate in 2 years from now. And this is how we do this deadman logic. At the point where you stop sending this transaction of moving your coins to the new time lock, we can assume that you're dead and that we should activate the new key. So this is, in general, how we solve the inheritance issue with Bitcoin and Miniscript. Any questions so far? I'd say a few. Yeah.
So the transaction that sends the Bitcoin must also understand the Miniscript and use it for the new transaction.
So you're talking about renewing it? You're talking about renewing?
Yes.
Yeah, so you need to use your wallet. I'll show in a second what it looks like, but it can be made very simple. But it basically sends it from one Miniscript-based wallet into a new Miniscript-based wallet, which is exactly the same. Just the only thing that changes is the time that to activate the inheritance key.
So does the Sparrow wallet
No,
understand it?
Sparrow doesn't support Miniscript. But other wallets, especially most importantly, yeah, Bitbox support it. Bitcoin Core supports Miniscript, so this is very important. You can always use Bitcoin Core to see your funds, to recover funds, no matter which wallet you're trying to use Miniscript with. So you have the assurance that Bitcoin Core supports it. And the great thing compared to the server approach that I showed a bit earlier is that everything happens on Bitcoin itself. There are no external servers, no service providers. You don't need to trust anyone or anything except Bitcoin itself. Since everything is in the script of Bitcoin, everything happens on chain itself. Your coins and the conditions that you specified are secured by Bitcoin itself. Any other questions before we do a quick demo? Yeah.
Can you just set up for a certain time? Like I want my kid to be 35.
To be?
35, like certain time of the future or something.
Yeah, so you can say that I want the key to be activated in, let's say, 1 year. And then you can do also more cool stuff with Miniscript, of course. You can say that I want one key to be activated in 1 year. Then I want another key to be activated in 2 years. You can do a lot of stuff like this. So you can really plan out your inheritance in a very interesting way. You can say, I want a multisig to be activated in a few years, or I want someone to be able to recover it for me. Let's say you have a lawyer that you put in charge of your estate. So if, let's say, you have your kids that you want to get it, but if they couldn't get it, let's say they lost their keys, so you also trust this lawyer that his key is activated a bit later. We can do a lot of cool concepts and constructs with it. Any other questions? Yeah.
Is it possible that miners blacklist the script that I need to unlock my funds in the future?
Not really, because simply miners don't really have any reason to do it. You can use Taproot to hide that it's using certain conditions even. And honestly, there is just no incentive for them. If you're paying the fee, there is no reason for miners to blacklist you. And even if some do for whatever reasons, there are a lot of miners. It's not likely that all of them will blacklist you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or?
I'm sorry, not. Yeah, so not very technically expert here, but I was speaking to people from Firefish yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about escrow address. Is this what they were referring to? An escrow address where has instructions?
I'm not sure what Firefish are doing, honestly, but I don't think so.
P2P lending, that's, yeah.
Okay, I don't know how they do it more correctly, so I'm not sure what they're using.
Can you unlock access only like to some part of the wallet or like fraction of what you have at certain times, or
So
do you have to keep like different wallets? And
So the thing in Bitcoin is that we don't have a way to specify. Everyone knows how what UTXOs are. Okay, so UTXO is basically your funds, your coin, right? And there is no way to say that only a part of a UTXO can be spent, or that part of it has to go somewhere. That idea is called covenants, and it's something that we currently don't have in Bitcoin. So once funds can be spent, there is no limit on how much of a specific UTXO can be spent or where to. But you can have different UTXOs, and each UTXO can have its own rules. So you can have, let's say, certain funds that are locked for a certain time or for a certain person, and other funds that are locked differently. But it's only important that it will be different UTXOs. Let's do a quick demo of how to actually do it. Hopefully it's pretty simple, as you will see. Let me see if I have it here. Yeah. So I'm using an app called Bitcoin Keeper. You can check it out, download it, try it. I'll show the link. Yeah, so if anyone wants to download it, try it out. Give it a few seconds. Oh, so it's mobile only. The desktop, it's just a connector. So if you want to use it with Ledger or Trezor hardware wallets, which are USB based, then you can use it from there with this connecting layer. But it's just mobile only. Yeah. Okay, so I'll go back and let's unlock it. Everyone can know my password. Yeah, so you can see that I've already set up an inheritance wallet here, but let's ignore it for a moment and try to do a new one. First of all, I'll just show I pre-added these 3 keys here. This is a mobile key. It means that it's a key that lives on my phone. These 2 are, in theory, you could do an actual Bitbox device and an actual cold card device. But here, for demo purposes, I have mock devices which will just sign any transaction that I give them. It's just easier than playing with the actual devices right now. So let's go and create a wallet. So let's go let's select Bitcoin, create wallet. And here I can choose if I want to do a single key, 2 out of 3, a 3 out of 5, or whatever. I can do 10 out of 15, I don't know, whatever you want. But the idea right now is to do the simple example. So I'll go with single key. And I'll say that I have here, I can select that I want to do an inheritance key. So I want to be able to give a key to an heir, and they'll have access later. So save, proceed. So now I select my own key. Let's say that I have the mobile key that is mine because it lives on my phone. And let's say that here it takes me to the inheritance key selection. So I can select here the key for the heir. Let's say that the heir has the cold card, or that I will give him the cold card. And let's select the time. We can do, for now we limited it to 5 years, just so it's reasonable, but it can in theory be almost anything that you want. So,
On the Liana, yesterday they told 1.5.
Okay,
1.5 year
this is
maximum.
yeah. This is a very good point. This is a very good point. I'll get to it in a second. But it's a very, very good question. I'll just spoiler is that the difference is they are using relative time locks and we are using absolute time locks. What it means, I'll explain in a few moments. But okay, so just to finish first the create wallet demo, I'll select, let's say, 6 months. Here it's a test app, so we have these demo devices and we have like a shorter time. So here 6 months means I think like 60 minutes. And let's do wallet name. Let's say my new inheritance wallet. And I see this as the key, and I see this as the inheritance key, and I can just click create your wallet. And hopefully it works. Yeah, so let's go see our new inheritance wallet. I can go to settings here and let's do some magic and get some funds into it. Yeah, great. We have money now in our inheritance wallet. This is all on testnet, so we can do this magic with getting money immediately. And let's see the details of the wallet. We can see in more options, manage keys. We can see that we have some details here. Again, here it's a very short time because we are using testnet and demo times. So here it's very short time, but we can see that we have the mobile key as the actual key, inheritance key, which is not yet active. So if I go and I try to send funds, it immediately takes me to the send option and I can select, and let's say that I select to send to my mobile wallet. and I want to select send everything just for the example. I confirm this. So here it immediately takes me to this sign transaction option with the mobile key only. So there is no way for the inheritance key to sign it. There was no place for it. It's not just the UI, it's actually in the Bitcoin blockchain written that this other key cannot spend yet, which is why the UI will just hide it for you on this process here. But let's say that we want to use this inheritance wallet, which has already expired. So that's just to show here, the key says that it's active. So I can actually go and send Bitcoin, and I can select now. So I have used the regular key or use the inheritance key. The reason also that it lets you choose is, one of the reasons is that you have a different fee structure for different spending conditions. So let's say that one spending asks for one signature, and the other condition asks for 2 signatures. This of course will make transactions of different sizes, and different sizes mean different fees that you get. So it's recommended to always use your regular condition because it's always the simplest and takes the less fees. But you can now use the inheritance one. So let's choose that. Mobile wallet as the destination. Let's send max. Confirm. And then you see that it now prompts me to use this Bitbox and not the mobile key. And here it also auto-signs because it's a demo device, but with the actual Bitbox you'd have to go through the whole thing of using the Bitbox to sign. So let's just broadcast it. And it's done. We spent from a Miniscript wallet right now, from a different spending condition. What else here? So important thing about the Deadman switch, right? We've seen how we send funds, we create a wallet. We haven't seen yet how we renew the wallet if we are still fine, right? Here you go to settings. Again, we try to make it as simple as we could. So you go to settings, resetting inheritance key. So you just need to choose the new activation time. Let's say now I want it to be activated a year from now. So I just choose that, click Revolt now. And small UI issue. But now I can basically move the funds from the old one. Yes, you can see in my new inheritance to my new inheritance. This is my old one and my new one. All right, so let's just confirm it. I'll sign with my key.
Are you now inside Bitcoin Keeper?
Bitcoin Keeper, yes. And we renewed the wallet right now, basically.
It sends the whole wallet to a new address.
Yeah, it sends it from your older wallet to the newer wallet. What happened right now, which was hopefully very simple, is that we changed the time lock time from being in 6 months to being in 1 year. All of that was just a few clicks, so hopefully we try to do it as simple as we can. Hopefully everything is clear.
If there are 5 UTXOs, it will send all 5 together into one new one.
Right, yes, but you can also choose to do it yourself manually, and then you can select the UTXOs and separate them. So you can do full UTXO selection so it doesn't affect the privacy. But here it just gives you also the option to just do it directly, so it's easier. Yeah, any questions so far? Yeah?
So if I understood correctly, when the NLOC time expires, you're moving the UTXO to a new address, which has a new...
So just before it expires, you move it from the old wallet to the new wallet.
So
this is the idea.
Okay, there's no possibility to have multiple conditions with multiple nlock times in one single address.
There is an option to have multiple options. I just did the simplest example here, so it's easy to understand. But you can definitely, let's say, so in Keeper we still limit it a bit, but we have here two options. Let's say single, let's say 2 out of 3 here. So we have two options. We have this inheritance key and emergency key. And you can select different times for each. Emergency key means absolute control of the fund. So even though it's a 2 out of 3, an emergency key will be able to spend alone without the need to of any two other cosigners. And inheritance key means key that is added. So let's say you have a 2 out of 3, it will become a 2 out of 4. This is the difference.
So there is the possibility of having more than one
Yeah,
time.
you can have multiple ones. You can say one key is activated in a year, another key is activated in 2 years, two other keys activated in 3 years. You can have
Same UTXO.
in the same in the same script, in the same UTXO.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll go back to your question on time locks. So the idea is that Bitcoin has two different types of time locks. One that is called a relative time lock, and one that is called an absolute time lock. The idea of a relative time lock is the difference is very simple. One starts the count when you receive the funds, so one starts counting the time when funds are sent to you, and one has a set deadline which is set as just a simple date. So an absolute time lock means that this key will be activated on January 1st, 2027, right? And no matter if I receive funds now or if I receive funds one day before, the key will become active on January 1st, 2027. This is what is the exact timestamp or block height is set in the script, and this is what will happen. Then a relative time lock basically means that whenever I receive funds, start counting, let's say 1 year. So if I receive one transaction today and I receive one transaction let's say a week from now. So the transaction from today will have the key activated in a year, and the transaction in 1 week will be a year and 1 week, or a year from when I receive it. This is the difference between these two time locks. And why it's important for the limitation, because the relative time locks are limited to, I believe, about 14 months. It's simply because how things are encoded in Bitcoin, but it's just how it is. So the relative time lock is much more limited in the time that you can set. You can only set it for about 14 months, while absolute time locks you can set it in 30 years. So it doesn't matter.
No limit.
Yeah, almost no limit, yeah. No relevant limits, yeah.
Hi, in all kind of multi-sig setups, it's very important to back up the descriptors. How do you show the descriptors? And
Yeah, I will show the descriptor right now. This is one thing that I didn't do yet. I will go here, and for example, we can go here to the wallet settings. We see wallet configuration file. You just click either export as PDF, show a QR. You can choose how you want to see your descriptor or pass it to someone else. You can export as PDF, and it will look like this. I have previously prepared a bigger version, so it's easier. So this is what it will look like. We have some text that you can see here that is kind of explaining some stuff. And this is the actual descriptor right here. And the cool thing is I can actually just copy this thing here, and I can copy here, and I can paste it in Miniscript. So I can paste this here. It will give me some colors. So here you see that we don't use Alice and Bob, we use actual keys, so it looks way less readable. But if we move these to the fields, it will make it much nicer. So here, if I click compile, then it compiles here to this. We can see here a few things. First, we can see this nice-ish tree. So it's OR and condition. So here we have this threshold, and we have or basically or this time and these conditions here, and then it's a bit, yeah, it's too big to show in the same time, but it basically shows the conditions in a tree form that I need to somehow expand a bit. But it can also help us derive the addresses here, and we can compare them with Keeper directly. So here you can see that here it derives the actual script. This is what the script looks like in hex, and this is the actual script. So if we check that out, we can see the difference between miniscript, which looks like this, and script, which looks like this. And we can actually see an actual address. This is the address that we use. Yeah, that's, I think that's mostly it. Any other questions? Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question because you demonstrated it with Bitcoin Keeper. What happens if the software is no longer there? You said that core support.
So exactly. So you exactly if Bitcoin Keeper is no longer around, you take this thing, you copy it, and you import it into Bitcoin Core. This is a bit more technical, so it will be a bit harder. But Bitcoin Keeper is an open source project, so you don't need to trust it to still be a company. The code is out there, you can just copy and run it. You don't need to trust it as a company. And of course you can validate everything. You can copy this, as I did, you can copy it to this website, for example, or you can actually import it into Bitcoin Core and see all your funds and everything.
Thank you.
Thank you again. So this can also work as like a trust fund, not only for inheritance after you die, but while you're living, if you want your children to have a certain amount of income per Bitcoin income per year, for example, you can program it this way?
Again, not exactly, because you cannot, once you have, you cannot put conditions on how funds are spent. You can only put conditions on if the funds can be spent or not. But it's not granular so that you can say, okay, they can spend, let's say, $1,000 a year or something like that.
No, but I mean, you would create just different addresses with the amount that you want to release per period.
You could. Okay, so
yeah, let's say you
could
want to give them a full Bitcoin over 10 years. You create 10 addresses with 0.1 Bitcoin, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So you can, let's say, you can create a time-locked wallet and say, I think we have that in Keeper already, but let me see. But basically, you can create a time-locked wallet that says, okay, these funds can be spent in 1 year, and then you can create another one that these funds can be spent in 2 years, or these funds can be spent in 5 years, and fund each of them with the amount that you want to put in it. And here, let me see if we add it. Yeah, in advanced options, you see there is the wallet time lock. So this is an actual time-locked wallet. So if I select it, let's say single key, for example. So, and let's select the cold card, because let's assume this is the account of the heir or of the person that you want to give the money to. If we create that, it will warn you that if you select, let's say, 6 months, then these funds cannot be spent until these 6 months pass. Right now, we limited it to up to 1 year, so people don't lock themselves out of their money. But you can do it for many other options and times. So if you want to do it eventually for, let's say, a wallet that is only possible to spend from in 1 year and then another in 2 years and 5 years, you can do that. And you can, yeah, and you can also have your own key. So let's say instead of completely locking it, you have your own key and the key for them that becomes active. And then if you want to cancel it, you just move the funds out of it. As simple as that. Yeah, any other questions? Yeah.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. I have a question. I understood it this way, that my wallet, if it doesn't move any amount within a specific year, for instance, then the other key gets activated.
Yeah.
Does it
exactly.
also mean that if I add something to the wallet, so not only I'm not taking away something from the wallet, I'm adding some funds. Is it the same effect? So it means like it's active because somebody put something into it, or is it only
No, it doesn't. No, if you get more money, it doesn't matter. So as I explained with the relative and absolute time locks, if you use Keeper uses what's called the absolute time lock. So if I set the key of the error to be activated on January 1st, 2027, it will be activated on January 1st, 2027. Doesn't matter how many funds I get in there, right? This doesn't move the time lock. For relative time locks, if I say that I want it to be activated within a year after I receive the funds, so whenever I receive funds, these specific funds that I receive, the specific UTXO is locked for, or well, has the key to activate after that certain time. Anyone else? Yeah.
And if you spend some UTXOs,
Yeah, so if you spend them, they are not yours anymore, right? They are not in your wallet. So these specific UTXOs will not be part of this plan anymore because they are now spent, they are gone. They do not, when you spend a UTXO, it ceases to exist and it becomes into someone else's money, right? Someone else's UTXO. So this doesn't affect the other funds in your wallet. It doesn't affect any of the script conditions of any of the other UTXOs that you have, but it basically moves, like eliminates them from your wallet, right? That's all it does. The rest stays the same. So each UTXO that you don't spend keeps with its conditions, right? So if I program a UTXO to do something specific, it will still keep these conditions until it's spent. And when it's spent, it's gone. Anything else? Anyone else has a question? Yeah, thank you. Thank you for staying this long. I know the lake is beautiful, so thank you.